Spring break might be over, but the party's going to keep going here tonight because we're back with a brand new episode of your favorite sports debate show, Hold That Thought. Plenty to catch up on here on the South Hill with the 4-1 Ithaca women's lacrosse team upsetting number 2 Trinity. But do our panelists expect a big season this year for the Bombers? And despite your bracket being busted, the madness continues heading into the Sweet 16. So who's the Cinderella team that you should look out for? And when will the Twitter fingers end for McGregor and Mayweather? And when will they actually turn into fists being thrown into a boxing ring? We'll debate all that and more coming up right now on Hold That Thought. Third time's the charm. Welcome into an all-new episode of Hold That Thought. So glad you could be tuning in tonight. I'm your host, Matt Rahemba, and as always, I'll be joined by 3 esteemed panelists who will debate all the hottest topics in the world of sports. Remember, you, the fans, can have a say in who wins tonight's show by going to our Twitter at HTT_ICTV and voting in our poll for the panelists that you like the best. So, without further ado, let's bring those panelists on in. We welcome into tonight's show. We have TJ Horgan, Jonah Restuccio, and Cal Domowski. Guys, thanks for coming. Thanks for being with us tonight. And I know it's been a long week, but are you guys ready to get back into it, get this debate going?
Ready to rock and roll.
I guess so.
Definitely. Sure, why not? Let's do it. But let's go into our first topic. And, of course, we will start off local with the Ithaca women's lacrosse team. And they made noise over the weekend with a 4-1 start to their year, shocking number 2 Trinity on their trip to Nashville with an 11-10 victory over the team. TJ, Ithaca's got both lax teams on campus, letting it be known that they're not here to mess around. But how far can this women's team really go this season? Do you think they could potentially make a deep run like that men's team?
It's a great question, Matt. And frankly, the women's team lost in the second round of the NCAA tournament last year to Trinity. This year, they play Trinity in Nashville, and in the words of country icon Garth Brooks, they got wins in low places. They beat the number 2 seeded Trinity. I think that's enough to book them a trip to the national championship.
Wow. Book them a trip to the national championship. That's a hot take right off the bat. You know, they're 4-1. It's too early to tell. They have 3 big games coming up with Cortland at home this week.
Jonah, you took the words right out of my mouth. It is too early to tell. I mean, 4-1. We haven't even gotten to the bulk of their E8 schedule, which they have always proved to be dominant in, but still, it's going to be a test this year. This team has the firepower to go very far into the tournament, definitely past the second round this year, but it is too early to tell. We got to wait to see what happens after that Cortland game, obviously, which is against, well, Cortland is number 2 in the nation right now, and last year, I mean, Ithaca was annihilated 18-4 by Cortland, who was number 2 in the nation at this time last year.
And they also lost in the second round of the NCAA tournament to Trinity, who ended up winning that tournament. Ithaca's returning essentially the same team as last year. They lost 3 players. So when you have this team clicking, not to mention the addition of Allie Runyon, who is their best player and was out all of last year with a torn ACL.
TJ, so you're saying just because of one game against Trinity, they're going to book them in the national championship automatically?
Their best player is returning from an ACL injury.
But they can never get by St. John Fisher in the Empire 8 Championship.
That's true.
5 straight losses in the last 5 years. They just get in the NCAA tournament based on not the automatic qualifier, off at-large bids. What if something happens, you know, Allie Runyon gets hurt again or someone else get hurt, and they can't make up that lost production?
If we want to talk Empire 8 tournament, we're going to look at Ithaca, who has 136 ground balls corralled. Second in the Empire 8 is at 104, and that's Stevens. St. John Fisher's not going to be much of an issue.
Balls is
we don't even need to
game.
That's possession.
It's too early to be talking stats. It's too early to be talking stats right now. We got to be looking forward to the schedules ahead. This team just lost to Dickinson. We're going to have to see how they bounce back. They started off the season 4-0. They were hot. They were rolling. And guess what? They have this setback. So this is going to be the true test of the character and the firepower of this Bombers team, is how they bounce back from this loss, how they deal with it, and of course how they deal with it against the number 2 team in the country. If they come out swinging, if they come out and show that they're the Ithaca Bombers they were in the first 4 games, then we're going to have no issue arguing that this team can go deep. But we really need to see that team come alive against Cortland if they want a shot at competing at a high level.
And outside of Allie Runyon, you know, she has 21 goals on the year, and no other player on the team has double-digit goals. So if someone was to shut down Allie Runyon, who is going to step up in that spot? You don't know because they've only played 5 games. It's too early to tell. You know, you have the Empire 8 championships and then the NCAA tournament. In the championship, like you said, TJ, one win isn't going to book them a
Jonah,
trip there.
Their offense is not what's carrying them. Sure, Ali Runyon's doing great, and the fact that they have her back is almost enough to say book it to the national championship. But they're fifth in the country in caused. They're fifth in the country in caused turnovers per game.
TJ, you said it. They lost in the second round of the NCAA tournament last year. You're talking about a win in the first 5 games.
They didn't lose anyone.
And it's an automatic book to the national championship game.
Hot takes.
I just don't. Yeah, it is a hot take, Joe.
My take might be hotter than the weather in which they beat the national championship runner-up last year. Excuse me. My take might be hotter than the weather in Nashville, but I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
Time's going to have to tell, TJ. We're going to have to see how they do with the schedule.
South Hill, not only for the men's team, but for the women's team as well. So it's great to see lacrosse scene really building up here on the South Hill. But it's time to move into our next topic, and it's been a very, very interesting NFL free agency. And it's not often that teams come off of winning a Super Bowl and maintain their championship pieces, but the Patriots found a way to just add on to what they already have. In many ways, if not all, this team's won from the free agency period. So, Jonah, who do you think has also made significant moves that's not named the New England Patriots?
Well, obviously it's hard because the New England Patriots, as you said, added so many pieces. But I'm going to have to go down to Florida. The Jacksonville Jaguars, just outside of their offseason additions, they added Tom Coughlin as the executive vice president and former Buffalo Bills head coach in Doug Marrone, trying to get some stability for that franchise that just hasn't had much over the past couple years.
I think the Giants are a winner of this offseason right now. I mean, they added Brandon Marshall, a star-studded veteran wide receiver who knows how to play in the postseason, is matured over the years, knows how to, create some offensive firepower for teams. I feel like that's going to be a big boost to the New York Giants, so I'll say them for right now.
When's the last time Brandon Marshall's played in the postseason? And also, Jonah, no one says stability like Doug Marrone, does it?
Oh.
The Atlanta Falcons have won free agency, and I'm going to tell you why. They got rid of the contract of Tyson Jackson, and what did they do? They brought in his replacement, a bigger and better Dontari Poe. In addition to that, they signed Jack Crawford, who, mark my words, is the second coming of Michael Bennett.
So back to this let's go to this Doug Marrone thing. Stability.
Yeah.
He left the Bills because he thought he had another contract offer on the table for a better team in the New York Jets and more pay. And look what happened. They backed out on him, so he had to start from the bottom again, work his way up in the Jaguar system. It's not like he did awful in Buffalo. It's hard to coach the Buffalo Bills with the talent that they're usually given.
Also, going back to that Falcons point, it seems like the Falcons right now are just adding depth rather than substance.
That's
and what
not
you want to
true.
be asking right now,
Dontari Poe is 350 pounds. You want substance? There it is.
Yeah, you got to be looking at players that are going to be, more role play. You need some role players in there. I mean, obviously they're coming off that Super Bowl loss and great accomplishments by the Falcons last year. But back to the New York Jets, Brett Ellison is this fantastic tight end who can block for them. What the Giants are doing right now is that they're patching up small holes to an already solid playoff roster, and they're adding pieces for the future to make a deeper run to the postseason, which is what they need to do, and that's exactly what they're doing right now.
What about the Jaguars? They're adding depth as well. They added 4 new offensive linemen, re-signing a couple to an offensive line that has had issues over the past couple of years. They signed A.J. Boye.
A.J. Boye had one good season.
It was one good season. All right, he had one good season last year. He's building off of that
season
this year.
Offensive line
you don't know the productivity you're getting out of him.
Brandon Marshall had one good season 2 years ago with the Jets.
Who's the offensive line protecting, Jonah? Who's the offensive
Blake
line?
Bortles, and they have the
any
4th pick in the draft.
pieces.
They can get Dalvin Cook. They can get Leonard Fournette.
Yeah,
so you're going to bank on the draft? Jaguars banking on the draft.
Cal, I'm not letting you. You said the Giants are patching up small holes. Well, there's a big 5-man hole sitting right in front of Eli Manning that they did nothing for. Absolutely nothing. They should be ashamed of themselves for not touching the offensive line in this free agency market.
Just like the Jaguars. I mean, we were just talking about offensive line right now. All they did is they added some defensive players. I mean, Calais Campbell, obviously, he's getting old, but he's a veteran stuffer right now. I think what they really need to do is put some protection around Blake Bortles if they want to be an effective.
They did. They put protection around Blake Bortles.
Not very effective protection, though.
It's depth. Who really knows who's going to step up on the offensive line?
They should have had protection when they drafted him and got insurance because the man's trash. He's going to be a free agent when his contract ends. Blake Bortles will not lead this team to any sort of championship. You know who will? Matt Ryan. And now that he has a defensive 7, let me tell you this. Jack Crawford signed 3 years, $8 million. He is same height, same weight as Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett was undrafted in 2009, went to the Seattle Seahawks. Who was the defensive coordinator? Who was the defensive line coach in 2009 for the Seahawks? The head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Jack Crawford is the next Michael Bennett.
Wow.
We're
Spitting
bringing hot takes
fire.
here left and right to start off this show. It's feeling good already, and we're bringing the heat. And you know we're going to keep bringing it after the break because we're going to have to go into our first break of the evening. When we return, our panelists will debate which lower-seeded team remaining in the NCAA tournament they think has a chance to make the deepest run heading into the Sweet 16, or going to the Sweet 16, and whether the NBA should have jurisdiction over coaches deciding to rest their started players. Remember to keep voting for who you want to win by going to our Twitter at HTT_ICTV and vote for the panelists who you like the best. Also, make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram. HTT will be back in 90. Welcome back to Hold That Thought. If your bracket's not busted, well, you're probably lying. However, there are 3 1-seeds remaining in Gonzaga, UNC, and Kansas, so if you decide to fill out your bracket wisely, you may be in decent shape. But for those in bad shape, we go over to Cal for this question. With a lot of lower-seeded teams left to pick from, you got Xavier, Wisconsin, Michigan, and South Carolina. So who do you like to make a potential Elite 8 run from the lower seeds?
Well, that one-seeded team that lost, that Villanova team that was, the reigning national champion and #1 overall seed, yeah, Wisconsin beat them. So I'm liking the Badgers to advance to the Elite 8. Nigel Hayes, Bronson Koenig, 2 Final Fours and 4 Sweet 16s now under their belt. They can really lead this team. I like the Badgers.
Well, if we're going to go with high-seeded teams that make waves in tournaments, it's always almost always about. I'm still riled up from that Falcons question.
Well, tongue-tied.
It's almost always about momentum, and right now 11th-seeded Xavier is playing out of their minds. They're going to go as far as they want.
Well, TJ, you said it. It's all about momentum, but it has to be the Michigan Wolverines. They won the Big Ten postseason tournament. They're 12-2 since February 7th. Their only losses on a buzzer beater to Northwestern, then in overtime to Minnesota. There's no team hotter in the tournament right now than Michigan. 16 threes in their first-round game. Oh, what, Cal? Wisconsin?
How about the team that just knocked off the #1 team in the nation and really has no one to fear right now?
Michigan beat
Duke
the #2 seed in Louisville, and they also took down Oklahoma State, which has also been a hot team in the Big 12 since the middle part of the season.
Wisconsin was underseeded to begin this tournament.
Yes, they were.
We knew that coming in.
Absolutely.
But what they've done so far in this tournament is just proven that they should have been a #1 seed to begin this tournament with.
No,
1.3 points possession.
False.
Excuse me, Joe.
They haven't beat anyone. How a #1
points
seed?
per possession against Virginia Tech. All right, they came in, they just completely dominated the last 5 minutes of the Villanova game. They ended that game on a 15-5 run.
And Michigan dominated all of Louisville, and they dominated all of Oklahoma State.
Michigan needed to come back against Louisville. Louisville had them on the ropes in the beginning.
They're down 2.
Guys, if we're talking one
seeds, a little bit more than 2
if
points.
we're talking one seeds, let's look at the sticks. Xavier was ranked 11th in this tournament. And right now, they're playing out of their minds. You look at guard Trevon Blewett. He's 6'6", and also J.P. Macura, also 6'5". These guys are 2 of the most unguardable players in the league right now. They can play any position on the court, and they're going to be a problem for Arizona when they play them tonight. But the thing about
Xavier is they lost their leader in Edmund Sumner to a torn ACL halfway through the season.
Clearly that really hurt them.
Who did they get in the first round? They got Maryland, who's been on a terrible streak, and then they got Florida State in the second round, who looks like either a high school basketball team or an NBA team.
And
they got the high school basketball
team. And they treated them like a high school basketball team.
Because Florida State is so inconsistent. You never know who's going to show up, and they never perform at their full potential. They almost lost to Florida Gulf Coast in the first round.
TJ, I just want to bring up, a couple shows ago, you brought up another Big East team, Creighton. You said Creighton was going to the Final Four. Creighton lost the first round.
Yeah, I don't trust them.
So can we trust TJ's expertise on this? I'm just messing with you.
Cal, I appreciate you calling me out on that. I did deserve that.
That's fair. But still, the Musketeers right now of Xavier, I don't know. They're going to have to go up against a very good Arizona team. Alonzo Trier, Lauri Markkanen. I mean, these guys have really stepped up this year. And, of course, they've gotten hot this time.
Michigan gets an Oregon team that just was down 12 to URA, came back in the later half of things. In Michigan, like I said, 12-2 since February 7th. That whole plane crash happened. It could not be a better story. They have their their studs in Zach Irvin and Zach Walton. But outside of that, you can go to big men DJ Wilson, or you can go to not Mo Wilson. What's his name? He's the guy from Germany. I forgot his name.
Talk about players all you want.
Ethan Happ, the All-American.
Talk about players all you want.
Unguardable.
Talk about players all you want. We need to look at team consistency. Frankly, Michigan Michigan was down to Louisville at halftime, or they were down by 6 at one point in the game, and Arizona was down to St. Mary's. This Xavier team does not know what it's like to be down. They have won decisively.
Michigan has John Beeline. He knows where he's
Yeah,
at.
Sweet 16 team in
We can all
It's
agree on here. It's
historically.
that anything can happen at this time of the year. Upsets are bound to happen. It's just a matter of who's going to get it. But we're going to go over to the NBA now. It's been talked about a lot this season, but coaches are deciding to rest their star players at various points throughout the year. A lot of these primetime games fans have look forward to are starting to lose that primetime feel when the guys you see, the guys you want to see out there aren't playing. Jonah, should the NBA be able to intervene here? Because at the end of the day, this is a business, and the coaches are starting to go against what the league is all about. So what do you think about this?
I don't think there should be a rule or anything added on because it's kind of hard to dictate who rests who. I think the season's too long. There's too many back-to-backs. Long road trips is really what's taking a toll on this team. You don't need 82 games to figure out that the Cavs are the 1 seed in the East or the Warriors are the 1 seed in the West.
I don't think you can control that. I mean, they really can't. And NBA can't intervene, excuse me. I pulled a TJ right there. I was too riled up. But yeah, they can't intervene. I mean, it's just too much. You can't control resting players. That's not what the NBA is all about. You need to let the players play at their team's pick who plays and when they play.
Cal, maybe you should pull a TJ with your baseball fanhood and root for the best team in the AL East. Anyway, the NBA should.
How dare you?
The NBA should not be intervening whatsoever. Cavs GM David Griffin got a call after that game saying that it was unpleasant from the NBA front office executives. And frankly, it's a travesty that they're even calling David Griffin to warn him about this. GMs, coaches, and players are paid to win championships. If that involves resting players a night or two, that they're going to go ahead and do that, regardless if you play 50 games, Jonah, or if you play 10 games. They're going to rest their players if they're playing
not
well.
going to need rest if they have, say, a 65-game schedule. 82 games, these teams take 11-game road trips out west, back-to-backs every other night.
So you're saying we won't see a night of rest if they move the schedule down to 65?
Why would you need, or even 60 or something?
What if a
62
player
games.
what if a player tweaks something in a game?
That's an injury. That's not rest. These guys are fully healthy, and they just want to. Their coaches and GMs just want to sit out.
You could argue exhaustion's an injury.
I think
it's not exhaustion though. They're just resting them for the playoffs. Like there's no need.
It's not a question of season length, John. It's a question of players getting rest. And I think what we as the media want, what fans want, and what players want is we want people resting so that they can play top-notch basketball in the postseason, which is what everyone wants to see. We want to see the best players competing at the best moments of the game. So we don't want, yes, maybe LeBron James needs to take a night off every now and then so he can be fresh for Game 1 of the NBA
So you're going to
Finals.
sit everyone. You're going to sit everyone. Kyrie, Kevin Love,
You
LeBron,
might as well.
all in one
If
night.
Might as well. Look
TJ hit it right on the head. If you want players and teams want to win championships, yes, the fans are an important part of that, but they don't go out every night saying, "Oh yeah, let's impress the fans tonight." It's no. What do we need to do in order to win a championship? What do we need to do to put our team in the best
if they have
position?
exhaustion, they're playing too many games. So what I'm saying is the schedule is too long.
So is the NFL schedule too long? Tom Brady rests if the Patriots are 15-1
In the last game of the season.
Exactly. This now is essentially
in the middle of the
NBA.
year.
Football's not an everyday thing, though,
the
John.
middle
You have to
of the
realize
year.
it. Basketball, there's going to have to be a couple
There's
games
more
in a row where you
injuries
sit
in
out.
football than there are in basketball.
The Cavs have already clinched. It's not the middle of the year. If they've clinched, they're the only team in their division to clinch the playoffs. They can rest whoever they
The
want.
Warriors clinched 2 months ago, and they're already resting players.
Different conference.
That's what you got to do, though. I mean, you got to save those guys. You have to save those guys so they're fresh for the postseason. That's what you want. If you have a letdown in the postseason, fans are going to be turned off by the game, and then guess what? You get no viewership, you get no more fans, and the league falls apart. It's really all about keeping those players healthy so that fans will then continue to watch in the future.
All right, it's time to take our second break of the night. We got a lot more to get into, including whether or not our panelists think Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather will actually square up in the ring, and who you got between the Oilers and the Kings. Also, remember to keep voting in our poll for who you want to win by going to our Twitter at HTT_ICTV. Remember to throw us a follow when you're there as well. HTT, we'll be right back. Welcome back into HTT for our final debate topic of the night and what's been a hotly discussed topic over these past few months between the two parties. Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather have been exchanging words left and right through Twitter fingers, but really should be doing so in the ring. The two sides can't come to terms on money, but what is known is that the two want to fight. Cal, do you think this fight will actually happen, or are we just hyping this fight up for no reason?
Oh, this fight's going to happen. Both these guys want it. Dana White of the UFC wants it. Floyd Mayweather came out of retirement to pursue this fight. This fight's going to happen in the near future, June or September, one of those two.
I think it's going to take a while to get to. All these legal fees. McGregor's still under contract with the UFC. As you said, Dana White wants it to happen. He does, because it would mean a lot to his company, but it's going to take a long time. Give it 1.5 to 2 years if Mayweather still wants to do it by that time.
If you're a professional boxer, you're cream. Cash rules everything around me. And frankly, Floyd Mayweather can't get enough of that to fight Conor McGregor. Fight's not going to happen.
You don't think it's going to happen at all?
I think
at all.
No.
TJ, I think there's too much money in it to not happen. I mean, you look at these guys. What Conor McGregor is to the UFC is just undeniably outstanding. Yeah, he is the UFC. Perfect, Jonah. That's the way to do it. So he's bored with the UFC. He's won all the titles. He's fought the best fighters in that. He wants a new challenge, and his new challenge is to take down Mayweather.
If there's one thing Floyd Mayweather has more than money, it's pride. If you look at the risk-reward of this fight for Floyd Mayweather, the reward is just not there. If he loses, there's a small chance he loses, and that exists. And Floyd Mayweather wouldn't take that chance in a million years.
He's already been talking about venues, though.
You talk about the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, which took years to happen, the two best fighters at the time. Mayweather said himself, he denied the fight at first because he knew that he deserved more money. You have to get the financials right for both sides of things. McGregor is the #1 fighter in the UFC, and Mayweather is the #1 fighter probably of all time or close to all time in boxing. And to get these two, most likely in a boxing ring, there's no way Mayweather is going to come down and fight mixed martial arts against McGregor.
That'd be something.
Yeah, it would be crazy. But at the same time, Mayweather's not going to come out of retirement to take less than he got for the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight.
These two are hotheads. I'm having a feeling that the money is not going to be an issue at the end. It's going to be all about pride, is what TJ said. And I think the pride is going to be
if it was all about pride, they would have done it by now.
Who gets the upper hand on each other? I feel like one of these guys wants the last. Obviously, one of these guys wants the last word, and it's going to be, where do you want to meet? I mean, Mayweather's already been talking about venues in Moscow. Wouldn't that be something? He's talking about
if they wanted to
June.
so bad, why haven't they done it yet?
As soon as June.
I think if we know Mayweather, money's going to play a majority of the role that's going to go into him actually doing this fight, and he's going to be asking for a lot more than what McGregor really even deserves, because he's never even boxed before. So I think McGregor would be lucky if he's making well over 20, 25 million for this fight, considering he's only made 15 at most doing a UFC fight.
Well, Dana White had already offered him 25 million apiece, and McGregor's like, yeah, I'll do that. Mayweather said, that's not enough for me. Yeah. Like I said, you have to get the financials right. McGregor's still under contract with the UFC. It's going to take a while if they really want this to happen. And Cal, you said if they were going to do it for pride, they would have already done it by now with that 25 million offer that Dana White.
It's not going to happen for pride. That's the bottom line. Floyd Mayweather knows there's a tiny chance he loses, and if he does, his legacy is shattered irredeemably. There's no chance he fights this.
Guys, I mean, you got to believe these. It's a fight. They both want to fight. It's in their blood that they want to fight. They want to compete. They both do. Deep down, they do. But as Jonah said, it all comes down to financials. But I do think that they're going to have to push that aside eventually, and it's just going to have to be this pride thing where it's going to be whose legacy is going to be taken to the next echelon.
But that's the thing. If this doesn't happen, Mayweather's legacy does not get affected whatsoever.
Neither does McGregor's. Neither does McGregor's. That's the whole thing. It's just you have to get everything to work out.
So this trash talking is just for nothing. I just don't see it as that. This trash talking is definitely something more.
Like most things, it's a business, and if you can't get the dollars to line up straight, this fight definitely won't happen. But it's time to get into the who you got for tonight, and it's some West Coast hockey between the Edmonton Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings. Give me the Oilers tonight. The kid's making himself known as one of the top players in the league. Connor McDavid, excuse me.
Connor McGregor, he plays hockey now?
We're still on the whole boxing time here. Connor McDavid. McDavid's going to come out here and box Mayweather. Who knows? Jonah, who do you got for this one?
I'm going to go with the Kings. Jonathan Quick is back in action, and they just got Ben Bishop in a trade. So, Kings.
TJ?
You miss 100% of the predictions you don't make. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, TJ Horgan. Give me the Oilers.
And Cal.
Give me the Kings. I like the Kings.
Go Kings.
They're cool. Kings are cool.
Kings are cool. King of the Chiron.
King of the Chiron, yes.
King of the Chiron going with the Kings.
Why was that not your thing?
It's clever right there.
I should have done that. I got to think next time.
All right, well, it's time to announce the winner of tonight's show. And that man is Jonah Restuccio. Jonah, you are coming out with the win, your first win of the season.
I was sweating
as well.
out in that basement.
You came into the studio.
I got the
this time
Jesse
to join
Feldman
us.
win.
You came into the studio to join us. You got out already canned. You came in here.
I
and
think
look
that's
at
my
that.
bad luck charm.
The winner is in the studio now. Jonah, your minute of fame here. Must feel great to get that first win.
Yeah, Syracuse lost. That's about it. It's been a rough week. A lot of snow. That's all I got.
Wow.
Lots of snow. Syracuse
Inspiring.
lost.
Yeah,
That's about it.
That's all I'm at.
That's kind of just sums up the week that Jonah just had for spring break. But it's time to end this episode. But before we do that, let's take a look at the season leaderboard. And it is just, look at that. It speaks for itself, folks, right there. You got
knows?
ones all around. Straight ones. Everyone's throwing out the ones. But who's going to get the deuce? Who's going to get the deuce? That's the bigger question for next week. Who will get that elusive point to become the season winner for HTT? The only way you're going to be able to find out is by tuning in next Monday, right here, same time, same place, same TV, same website. If you're on ictv.org, you know the drill. Monday, 9:30, ictv.org. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight, everybody, and we hope you have a great rest of your Monday evening.